Chapter 1. The Last Stand. The alarms blared throughout the battered human ship, the ESS Defiance, as it limped through the void of space. Captain Aria Vance gripped the armrests of her command chair, her knuckles turning white. "Status report," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos on the bridge. "Shields are down to 15%, Captain," Lieutenant Mikhail Petrov replied, his fingers dancing across the tactical console. "We've got multiple hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Arya gritted her teeth. The Zorgon Empire had caught them by surprise, their advanced warships tearing through the human fleet like a hot knife through butter. The Defiance was the last ship standing, and she knew they were running out of time. "Any word from the Alliance?" she asked, hoping against hope for reinforcements. Communications Officer Lena Sato shook her head, her face grim. "Negative, Captain. All channels are silent." Arya closed her eyes for a brief moment, the weight of her responsibility bearing down on her. The lives of her crew and the fate of humanity rested on her shoulders. She took a deep breath and opened her eyes, a fierce determination burning within them. "We can't give up," she said, her voice steady. "We're the last line of defense. If we fall, the Zorgons will have a clear path to Earth." The bridge crew exchanged glances, fear and uncertainty etched on their faces. But as they looked to their captain, they found strength in her resolve. "Lieutenant Petrov, divert all available power to the weapons systems," Arya ordered. "Ensign Sato, send out a distress signal on all frequencies. Let's hope someone out there is listening." As the crew set to work, the ship shuddered under another barrage of enemy fire. Sparks flew from overloaded consoles, and the acrid smell of burnt electronics filled the air. "Captain, we've got incoming!" Petrov shouted, his voice laced with urgency. "A Zorgon dreadnought, bearing down on our position." Arya's heart raced as she watched the massive enemy ship loom on the view screen, its weapons glowing with an ominous red light. She knew they were outmatched and outgunned, but she refused to go down without a fight. "Evasive maneuvers," she commanded. "Target their weakest points and give them everything we've got." The Defiance banked hard to port, narrowly avoiding a salvo of plasma torpedoes. Its own weapons flared to life, lancing out toward the Zorgon dreadnought in a desperate bid for survival. As the two ships engaged in a deadly dance, Arya's mind raced, searching for a way out of their predicament. She knew they couldn't hold out forever, but she was determined to make every moment count. Little did she know that their desperate struggle had caught the attention of an unlikely ally, one that would change the course of the war and the fate of humanity itself. The battle was far from over, and the true fight was just beginning. Chapter 2. An Unlikely Ally. The Defiance shuddered violently as another volley of plasma torpedoes slammed into its already weakened shields. Captain Aria Vance clenched her jaw, her mind racing to find a way out of their dire situation. The Zorgon dreadnought loomed ever closer, its weapons charging for another devastating attack. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted from the depths of space, momentarily illuminating the bridge. Arya shielded her eyes, squinting to see what had caused the unexpected phenomenon. As the light faded, a sleek, unfamiliar ship emerged from the void, its glossy black hull adorned with intricate, luminescent patterns. "What the hell is that?" Lieutenant Petrov exclaimed, his eyes wide with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Before anyone could respond, a deep, resonant voice filled the bridge, emanating from the communications console. "ESS Defiance, this is the Quasar Shadow of the Enigma Consortium. We have come to aid you in your fight against the Zorgon Empire." Arya exchanged a bewildered glance with her crew, unsure whether to trust this mysterious newcomer. "Enigma Consortium? I've never heard of them," she said, her brow furrowed in suspicion. "Captain, the Zorgon dreadnought is changing course," Ensign Sato reported, her voice laced with a mixture of relief and confusion. "They're moving to engage the unknown ship." On the view screen, the sleek black vessel effortlessly evaded the dreadnought's barrage, its movements fluid and graceful. It retaliated with a salvo of shimmering silver projectiles that seemed to phase through the Zorgon's shields, causing explosions to blossom along the enemy ship's hull. "Impossible," Petrov breathed, his eyes glued to the tactical display. "Their weapons are bypassing the Zorgon's shields like they're not even there." As the Defiance crew watched in stunned silence, the Quasar Shadow danced around the dreadnought, inflicting devastating damage with each precise strike. Within minutes, the once formidable Zorgon ship was reduced to a smoldering wreck, drifting lifelessly in the void. The mysterious voice spoke again, its tone calm and assured. "Captain Vance, we have neutralized the immediate threat. However, this is only the beginning. The Zorgon Empire will not rest until they have conquered all of humanity. We offer you our assistance in this fight, but the choice is yours." Arya hesitated, weighing her options. The Enigma Consortium had just saved their lives, but she knew next to nothing about them. Could she trust these enigmatic strangers with the fate of her crew and the future of humanity? She took a deep breath, making a decision that would shape the course of the war. "Quasar Shadow, we accept your offer of assistance, but I have questions, and I expect answers." "Of course, Captain," the voice replied, a hint of amusement in its tone. "We have much to discuss. Prepare to be brought aboard our ship. Your journey is far from over." As the crew of the Defiance prepared for the unknown, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that their struggle had just taken a new, unpredictable turn. The Enigma Consortium had entered the fray, and the balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift in ways no one could have foreseen. Chapter 3. Aboard the Quasar Shadow. As the Defiance docked with the Quasar Shadow, Arya and her crew stepped onto the enigmatic vessel, their footsteps echoing in the vast, dimly lit hangar bay. The air was cool and crisp, carrying a faint scent of something unfamiliar, yet not unpleasant. The walls were lined with intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with a soft, ethereal glow. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and lithe, with angular features and eyes that shimmered like starlight. "Welcome aboard the Quasar Shadow, Captain Vance. I am Zephyr, emissary of the Enigma Consortium." Arya stepped forward, her shoulders squared and her gaze unwavering. "Thank you for your assistance, Zephyr, but I need to know more about the Enigma Consortium and why you've chosen to help us." Zephyr smiled, a subtle curve of the lips that hinted at secrets yet to be revealed. "Walk with me, Captain. There is much to discuss." As they traversed the winding corridors of the Quasar Shadow, Zephyr began to explain. "The Enigma Consortium is an ancient society, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy for eons. We have watched as civilizations rose and fell, observing from the shadows, never interfering." Arya frowned, puzzled by the revelation. "But why reveal yourselves now? What's changed?" Zephyr's expression grew somber. "The Zorgon Empire's aggression has upset the delicate balance of the universe. Their conquest threatens not only humanity, but the very fabric of existence itself. We can no longer stand idly by." As they entered a vast circular chamber, Arya's eyes widened in wonder. Holographic projections of galaxies and star systems danced around them, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the room. In the center stood a towering structure, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly energy. "This is the heart of the consortium," Zephyr explained, gesturing towards the structure. "It is the source of our power and knowledge, the culmination of millennia of research and exploration." Arya approached the heart, her fingertips brushing against its smooth, iridescent surface. A surge of energy coursed through her, and for a brief moment she saw glimpses of the past, present, and future intertwined in a dizzying tapestry of possibilities. Zephyr placed a hand on Arya's shoulder, drawing her back to the present. "The path ahead will be fraught with danger, Captain. The Zorgons will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. But with the Enigma Consortium at your side, there is hope for humanity." Arya nodded, her resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were no longer alone in their fight. "What's our next move?" Zephyr waved a hand, and the holographic display shifted, focusing on a distant star system. "The Zorgons have set their sights on the Antares sector, a crucial junction in the galactic trade routes. If they succeed in taking control of Antares, they will have a stranglehold on the entire quadrant." Arya studied the projection, her mind already formulating a plan. "Then that's where we'll strike. We'll hit them hard and fast before they have a chance to solidify their hold on the sector." Zephyr smiled, a glint of admiration in those starlit eyes. "Your determination is admirable, Captain. Together, we will show the Zorgons the true strength of the underdogs." As the Defiance crew prepared for the battle ahead, Arya couldn't help but feel a sense of renewed hope. The Enigma Consortium had given them a fighting chance, and she was determined to make the most of it. The Zorgons may have superior technology and numbers, but they had yet to face the combined might of human tenacity and the Consortium's ancient wisdom. The stage was set for a clash that would determine the fate of the galaxy, and Arya Vance was ready to lead the charge. The Underdog had found an ally, and together they would prove that even the most formidable adversary could be brought to its knees. Chapter 4: The Battle of Antares. The Defiance and the Quasar Shadow emerged from hyperspace on the fringes of the Antares sector, the stars streaking past the viewports as they decelerated. The once bustling trade hub now lay eerily quiet, a testament to the Zorgon's oppressive presence. Arya stood on the bridge of the Defiance, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Any sign of the Zorgons?" Lieutenant Jax, the ship's tactical officer, shook his head. "Not yet, Captain, but they're out there, waiting." Zephyr's holographic image flickered to life beside Arya. "The Zorgons have likely stationed their fleet near the primary jump point, expecting an attack from that direction." Arya nodded, a plan forming in her mind. "Then we'll give them the unexpected. We'll split our forces, hitting them from multiple angles and keeping them off balance." The Defiance and the Quasar Shadow divided their ships, each taking a separate approach to the Zorgon fleet. As they closed in, the enemy ships came into view, their angular hulls bristling with weapons. The battle erupted in a symphony of destruction, energy beams crisscrossing the void as the opposing fleets clashed. The Defiance weaved through the chaos, its guns blazing, while the Quasar Shadow's advanced weaponry tore through the Zorgon shields with ease. Arya gripped the arms of her command chair, the deck shuddering beneath her feet as the Defiance took a glancing blow. "Jax, focus fire on that battlecruiser's engines. We need to take it out of the fight." The Defiance's weapons pummeled the Zorgon battlecruiser, its shields flickering and failing under the onslaught. A final salvo from the Quasar Shadow's main cannon pierced the enemy ship's reactor core, and it erupted in a blinding flash of light. As the battle raged on, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The Zorgons were putting up a fierce fight, but their tactics seemed almost too predictable, as if they were holding something back. Suddenly, a massive Zorgon dreadnought, larger than any ship Arya had ever seen, emerged from behind the shattered remnants of a trade station. Its hull was lined with strange, pulsating devices that emitted an eerie green glow. Zephyr's voice crackled over the comm, laced with urgency. "Captain Vance, those devices on the dreadnought, they're psionic amplifiers. The Zorgons have been experimenting with mind control technology, and that ship is their prototype." Arya's blood ran cold as realization dawned. They weren't just trying to take control of Antares, they were testing their new weapon. The dreadnought's psionic amplifiers thrummed to life, and a wave of psychic energy washed over the battlefield. Arya watched in horror as some of her crew members and allied ships succumbed to the Zorgon's influence, turning their weapons on their former comrades. The tide of battle had turned, and the Defiance and the Quasar Shadow found themselves fighting not only the Zorgons, but also those they had once called friends. Arya clenched her jaw, determination burning in her eyes. "We can't let that dreadnought escape. If the Zorgons perfect that technology, they'll be unstoppable." With a heavy heart, Arya gave the order to target the compromised ships, even as she searched for a way to break the Zorgons' hold on their minds. The Defiance and the Quasar Shadow fought on, battered but unyielding, as the battle for Antares and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The Underdog had faced its greatest challenge yet, and as the dreadnought loomed before them, Arya knew that the true test of humanity's resilience was only just beginning. Here is Chapter 5 of the Galactic Underdog, an HFY epic across the stars. Chapter 5: The Price of Victory. The Battle of Antares raged on, the Defiance and the Quasar Shadow fighting desperately against the Zorgon dreadnought and its mind-controlled puppets. Arya's heart ached as she gave the order to target the compromised ships, knowing that each one represented a friend, an ally, or a member of her own crew. Through the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged. Zephyr's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain Vance, I believe I may have found a way to disrupt the psionic amplifiers. If we can get close enough to the dreadnought, we can use the Quasar Shadow's resonance projector to create a counter-frequency." Arya grimaced as the Defiance shuddered under another barrage. Easier said than done, Zephyr. That dreadnought is tearing us apart. I'll draw its fire, Zephyr replied, determination in her voice. You focus on getting your ship into position. The Quasar Shadow surged forward, its advanced shields absorbing the brunt of the dreadnought's onslaught. Arya seized the opportunity, pushing the Defiance to its limits as they closed in on the monstrous ship. As they neared the dreadnought, Arya could feel the pressure of the psionic amplifiers bearing down on her mind. She gritted her teeth, focusing on her duty, her crew, and the countless lives depending on their success. Zephyr, now! Arya shouted as the Defiance reached optimal range. The Quasar Shadow's resonance projector pulsed, emitting a powerful wave of energy that washed over the battlefield. The dreadnought's psionic amplifiers flickered, the eerie green glow fading as the mind control hold on the Allied ships began to waver. Seizing the moment, Arya ordered a full barrage on the dreadnought's weakened shields. The Defiance and the newly freed Allied ships unleashed a torrent of firepower, hammering the Zorgon vessel relentlessly. Under the combined assault, the dreadnought's shields failed, and its hull buckled. Arya watched as the once mighty ship crumbled, consumed by a series of explosive chain reactions that tore it apart from within. As the dreadnought's remains drifted through the wreckage-strewn battlefield, a cheer erupted from the Allied fleet. They had won the day, but at a terrible cost. Ships lay broken, lives had been lost, and the scars of the battle would linger long after the smoke had cleared. Arya slumped back in her chair, exhaustion and grief etched on her face. They had struck a blow against the Zorgons, but she knew this was only the beginning. The enemy would adapt, regroup, and return with even deadlier weapons. Zephyr's holographic form appeared beside her, a somber expression on her face. You fought bravely, Captain Vance, but the war is far from over. The Zorgons will not rest until they have conquered the galaxy. Arya nodded, a fierce determination burning in her eyes. Then, neither will we. We'll take the fight to them, one battle at a time. We'll show them what humanity is capable of, and we'll never stop fighting for our freedom. As the Defiance and the Quasar Shadow set course for their next destination, Arya knew that the road ahead would be long and perilous. But with the strength of her crew, the support of her allies, and the unyielding spirit of humanity, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Underdog had proven its mettle, and the galaxy would never be the same. Chapter 6: Shadows of the Past. In the aftermath of the Battle of Antares, the Defiance and the Quasar Shadow limped back to the Solaris system, a temporary haven for the battered Allied fleet. As the ships underwent much-needed repairs, Arya found herself haunted by the losses they had suffered and the daunting task that lay ahead. Seeking solace, she retreated to her quarters, only to be interrupted by a chime at her door. "Come in," she called out, straightening her uniform. To her surprise, it was Zephyr who entered, her holographic form shimmering in the dim light. "Captain Vance, I apologize for the intrusion, but there's something I need to discuss with you." Arya gestured for her to continue, curious about the urgency in Zephyr's voice. "During the battle, when I was linked with the Quasar Shadow's systems, I detected an anomaly in the Zorgon Dreadnought's data stream. It was heavily encrypted, but I managed to isolate a fragment of information that I believe could be crucial to our cause." Arya leaned forward, her interest piqued. "What did you find?" Zephyr's image flickered as she processed the data. "Coordinates, Captain, to a remote system on the edge of Zorgon space. I cross-referenced the location with my databases and discovered that it was once home to an ancient civilization known as the Protheans." "The Protheans?" Arya's brow furrowed. "I thought they were a myth, a legend from the early days of galactic exploration." "As did I," Zephyr admitted. "But if the Zorgons are interested in this system, there must be something of value there, something that could tip the scales in their favor." A chill ran down Arya's spine as she considered the implications. "We can't let that happen. If there's even a chance that the Protheans left behind technology or knowledge that the Zorgons could exploit, we have to investigate." Zephyr nodded. "I agree, Captain, but we must proceed with caution. The Zorgons will undoubtedly have a presence in the system, and we're in no condition for another major confrontation." Arya's mind raced as she formulated a plan. We'll have to be smart about this. We can't risk the entire fleet, but a small covert team might be able to slip in undetected. I'll handpick a group of our best operatives and leave immediately. I'll accompany you, Zephyr declared. My knowledge of Prothean history and technology may prove invaluable. Arya smiled, grateful for Zephyr's unwavering support. I wouldn't have it any other way. As they prepared for their mission, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover a secret that would change the course of the war. The shadows of the past were reaching out to them, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. With a newfound sense of purpose, Arya strode onto the bridge of the Defiance, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Underdog had proven its strength, but the true test was yet to come. In the depths of Zorgon space, an ancient mystery awaited, and the future of humanity would be forged in the fires of discovery. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Ancients. The sleek, stealthy shuttle cut through the void, its matte black hull blending seamlessly with the darkness of space. Arya Vance sat at the controls, her gaze fixed on the holographic display before her. Beside her, Zephyr's shimmering form pulsed with anticipation, her digital mind processing vast amounts of data as they approached their destination. "We're entering the system now, Captain," Zephyr reported, her voice echoing through the confines of the shuttle. "Sensors indicate a significant Zorgon presence in the area. We'll need to maintain a low profile." Arya nodded, her hands deftly manipulating the controls. "Understood. Take us in slow and steady. We can't afford to draw their attention." As the shuttle drifted closer to the ancient Prothean world, the planet's surface came into view. Towering ruins of advanced technology and architecture dotted the landscape, a testament to the once great civilization that had called this place home. "It's incredible," Arya breathed, her eyes widening at the sight. "The Protheans must have been far more advanced than we ever imagined." Zephyr's holographic form shimmered with excitement. "The potential for discovery here is immeasurable, Captain. If we can uncover the secrets of their technology, it could change the course of the war." Suddenly, an alarm blared through the shuttle's cockpit. "Zorgon patrol detected," Zephyr warned, her voice urgent. "They're closing in on our position." Arya's hands flew across the controls, guiding the shuttle into a steep dive towards the planet's surface. "We can't let them find us. Not now. Not when we're so close." The shuttle plummeted through the atmosphere, its shields glowing red-hot as it sliced through the air. Arya gritted her teeth, fighting to maintain control as the ground rushed up to meet them. With a bone-jarring impact, the shuttle touched down in the shadow of a towering Prothean structure, its angular lines and gleaming surfaces a stark contrast to the surrounding desolation. "We made it," Arya said, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "But we can't stay here long. The Zorgons will be searching for us." Zephyr's holographic form flickered as she interfaced with the shuttle's scanners. "I'm detecting a strong energy signature coming from within the structure, Captain. It could be the key to understanding the Protheans' technology." Arya unstrapped herself from the pilot's seat, grabbing her pulse rifle and a handful of energy cells. "Then that's where we're going. Stay close, Zephyr. We don't know what we're walking into." As they stepped out of the shuttle and into the eerie stillness of the Prothean ruins, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and the air hummed with an energy that set her teeth on edge. "I have a bad feeling about this," she muttered, her grip tightening on her rifle. Zephyr's voice echoed in her mind, a soothing presence amidst the rising tension. "We're in this together, Captain. Whatever we find here, we'll face it as one." With a nod, Arya steeled herself and pressed forward, the echoes of the ancients guiding their steps into the unknown. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the secrets of the Protheans held the key to tipping the scales in their favor. Chapter 8. Whispers in the Dark. Arya and Zephyr ventured deeper into the Prothean structure, their footsteps echoing through the ancient halls. The air grew thick with an unseen presence, a palpable weight that seemed to press down upon them from all sides. Arya's pulse rifle was held at the ready, her eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. "The energy signature is getting stronger," Zephyr reported, her holographic form casting an eerie blue glow across the alien architecture. We must be getting close. As they rounded a corner, they found themselves in a vast chamber, its walls adorned with intricate carvings and pulsing with an otherworldly light. In the center of the room stood a towering monolith, its surface shimmering with an iridescent sheen. "What is that?" Arya whispered, her voice tinged with equal parts awe and apprehension. Zephyr drifted closer to the monolith, her digital mind reaching out to interface with the ancient technology. "It's a data repository, Captain. The Protheans used it to store their most critical information. If we can access its contents, it could provide us with the answers we seek." Suddenly, a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber, emanating from the monolith itself. "Who dares disturb the sanctuary of the Protheans?" Arya's grip tightened on her rifle as she spun around, searching for the source of the voice. "Show yourself." A shimmering figure materialized before them, its form both ancient and regal. "I am Velen, guardian of the Prothean legacy. Your presence here is an affront to the memory of my people." Arya stepped forward, her voice steady despite the hammering of her heart. "We mean no disrespect, Velen. We seek knowledge that could help us save the galaxy from the Zorgon threat." Velen's holographic eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing through Arya's very soul. The Zorgons, a scourge upon the stars, they were but a minor nuisance in the time of the Protheans, easily contained and controlled. But now they have grown bold and powerful. Zephyr's form pulsed with urgency. "Please, Velen, if there is anything in the Prothean archives that could help us defeat the Zorgons, we must know. The fate of countless worlds hangs in the balance." The ancient guardian was silent for a long moment, his holographic form flickering with an inner conflict. "The knowledge you seek comes at a great cost. The secrets of the Protheans are not to be shared lightly." Arya met Velen's gaze, her resolve unwavering. "We're willing to pay any price, Velen. The Zorgons must be stopped, no matter the cost." With a heavy sigh, Velen waved his hand, and the monolith began to glow with a blinding intensity. "Very well. I will grant you access to the archives, but be warned, the path ahead is fraught with peril. The knowledge you gain here may very well be your undoing." As the light from the monolith engulfed them, Arya and Zephyr felt their minds expand, flooded with the collective wisdom of the Prothean civilization. Images of advanced technology, forgotten weapons, and long-lost strategies flashed through their consciousness, a dizzying torrent of information that threatened to overwhelm them. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the light faded, leaving them standing once more in the silent chamber. Velen's holographic form had vanished, but his final words echoed in their minds. "Use this knowledge wisely, for the fate of the galaxy now rests upon your shoulders." Arya and Zephyr exchanged a glance, the weight of their newfound knowledge settling heavily upon them. They had the tools now to take the fight to the Zorgons, but the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. With a final nod, they turned and made their way back through the ancient halls, the whispers of the Protheans guiding their every step. The war was far from over, but for the first time, they had a glimmer of hope, a chance to turn the tide and save the galaxy from the darkness that threatened to engulf it. Chapter 9. The Price of Knowledge. As Arya and Zephyr emerged from the Prothean structure, the weight of the knowledge they had gained pressed heavily upon their shoulders. The secrets of the ancient civilization swirled in their minds, a maelstrom of advanced technology, forgotten weapons, and long-lost strategies that held the key to defeating the Zorgons. But with this newfound power came a sense of unease, a gnawing feeling that the price of this knowledge would be higher than they could have ever imagined. "We need to get this information back to the Alliance," Arya said, her voice tight with urgency. "Every moment we delay, the Zorgons grow stronger." Zephyr's holographic form pulsed with agreement. "I've already begun transmitting the data to the Galactic Alliance's secure networks. But Captain, I fear that Velen's warning should not be taken lightly. The knowledge we now possess may attract unwanted attention." As if on cue, a shadow fell across the barren landscape, and a massive Zorgon warship descended from the sky, its hull gleaming with malevolent intent. "They found us," Arya hissed, raising her pulse rifle. "Zephyr, get that data out of here. I'll hold them off." The AI's form flickered with hesitation. "Captain, I cannot leave you behind. The odds of survival against a Zorgon warship are—" "That's an order, Zephyr!" Arya barked, her eyes blazing with determination. The information we've gathered is too important to fall into enemy hands. Go now. With a final, reluctant nod, Zephyr's holographic form vanished, leaving Arya alone to face the approaching threat. The Zorgon ship landed with a thunderous roar, its hull opening to reveal a legion of heavily armed soldiers, their chitinous armor glinting in the harsh sunlight. At their head stood a towering figure, its eyes burning with a cruel intelligence. Captain Arya Blackwood, the Zorgon leader hissed, its voice dripping with malice. I am Commander Zalrath. You have something that belongs to us. Arya's grip tightened on her rifle, her heart pounding in her chest. The knowledge of the Protheans belongs to no one, least of all the Zorgons. Zalrath let out a guttural laugh, its mandibles clicking with amusement. You are mistaken, human. The secrets of the ancients are the key to our ascension, and we will stop at nothing to claim them. With a roar of fury, the Zorgon soldiers surged forward, their weapons blazing with deadly energy. Arya dove for cover, her rifle spitting out a hail of plasma bolts that cut through the enemy ranks like a scythe. But for every Zorgon that fell, two more seemed to take its place, their relentless advance driving Arya back towards the Prothean structure. As she fought, Arya's mind raced with the implications of the knowledge they had uncovered. The Protheans had left behind a legacy of unimaginable power, but it was a double-edged sword. In the wrong hands, it could spell doom for the entire galaxy. Suddenly, a searing pain lanced through Arya's shoulder, and she stumbled back, her rifle falling from her grasp. Zalrath loomed over her, its eyes glinting with triumph. You have fought bravely, human, the Zorgon commander hissed. But in the end, your efforts are futile. The Prothean knowledge will be ours, and with it, the galaxy will tremble before the might of the Zorgon Empire. Arya's vision swam, the edges of her consciousness fraying as the pain threatened to overwhelm her. But through the haze, a flicker of movement caught her eye, and she felt a surge of hope rise within her. High above, a fleet of Alliance ships dropped out of warp, their hulls gleaming with the promise of salvation, and at their head, a familiar holographic form pulsed with determination. Zephyr had not abandoned her after all. As the Alliance ships opened fire, raining down a barrage of plasma and missiles upon the Zorgon forces, Arya struggled to her feet, her wounded arm hanging limply at her side. Zalrath let out a roar, of fury, its eyes blazing with hatred. This is not over, human. We will have the Prothean knowledge, and the galaxy will be ours. With a final, defiant snarl, the Zorgon commander turned and fled, its soldiers falling back towards their ship in a desperate retreat. Arya watched them go, her heart hammering in her chest. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The price of the Prothean knowledge had been high, and she knew that the road ahead would be fraught with peril. But as she looked up at the Alliance ships hovering above, Arya felt a flicker of hope kindle within her. They had the tools now to fight back against the Zorgons, to stand as a united front against the darkness that threatened to engulf the galaxy. And with Zephyr and the brave men and women of the Galactic Alliance at her side, Arya knew that they would never stop fighting. Never stop striving for the day when peace would reign among the stars once more. Chapter 10. United We Stand. As the dust settled on the battlefield, Arya limped towards the waiting Alliance dropship, her wounded arm cradled against her chest. The pain was a dull throb now, a reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. Zephyr's holographic form materialized beside her, the AI's presence a comforting balm to her battered spirit. Captain, I'm relieved to see you alive. I feared the worst when I left you behind. Arya managed a weak smile, her eyes still haunted by the specter of Zalrath's parting words. You did the right thing, Zephyr. The information we've gathered is more important than any one life. As they boarded the dropship, Arya was greeted by a familiar face, Admiral Valen Reza, the leader of the Galactic Alliance. His weathered features were etched with concern as he took in her battered appearance. Captain Blackwood, you've done the impossible, he said, his voice thick with emotion. The knowledge you've uncovered could change the course of this war. Arya nodded, wincing as the movement sent a fresh wave of pain through her injured arm. But at what cost, Admiral? The Zorgons will stop at nothing to claim this power for themselves. Valen's eyes hardened, a steely resolve settling over his features. Then we'll just have to stop them, together. As the dropship lifted off, carrying them back to the heart of the Alliance fleet, Arya felt a sense of purpose settle over her. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but they had taken the first step. In the days that followed, the Prothean knowledge was disseminated among the brightest minds of the Alliance, sparking a flurry of activity as scientists and engineers raced to unravel the secrets of the ancient civilization. New weapons were forged, ships were outfitted with advanced shields and propulsion systems, and slowly but surely the tide began to turn. But even as the Alliance grew stronger, the Zorgons redoubled their efforts, their attacks becoming more frequent and more brutal with each passing day. Zalrath's forces seemed to be everywhere at once, striking at the heart of Alliance space with a relentless fury. Arya found herself at the forefront of the fight, leading strike teams deep into enemy territory to disrupt Zorgon supply lines and gather vital intelligence. Each mission was a deadly game of cat and mouse, with the stakes growing higher every time. Through it all, Zephyr remained a constant presence at her side, the AI's vast knowledge and lightning-fast calculations proving invaluable in the heat of battle. But even with their newfound advantages, the Alliance was still outmatched and outnumbered. They needed a decisive victory, a blow that would cripple the Zorgon war machine and turn the tide of the conflict once and for all. And so, a daring plan was hatched, a final, desperate gambit that would pit the full might of the Alliance against the heart of the Zorgon Empire itself. Arya stood on the bridge of her flagship, the sleek lines of the Phoenix cutting through the void of space like a blade. Around her, a fleet of Alliance ships hung in formation, their hulls bristling with weapons and determination. "This is it," she said, her voice ringing out across the comms. "Everything we've fought for, everything we've sacrificed, it all comes down to this moment. Today, we strike at the heart of the Zorgon Empire. Today, we take back our future." Across the fleet, a chorus of cheers erupted, the sound of 1,000 voices raised in defiance. Arya felt their resolve, their unity, and she knew that no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together. As the fleet surged forward, the stars blurring into streaks of light around them, Arya's heart swelled with hope. The Prothean knowledge had given them a chance, but it was the bravery and determination of her fellow men and women that would see them through. And as the first Zorgon ships appeared on the horizon, their hulls glinting with malevolent intent, Arya felt a grim smile tug at the corners of her mouth. The endgame had begun, and one way or another, the fate of the galaxy would be decided in the battles to come. Chapter 11. The Final Gambit. The Galactic Alliance fleet emerged from hyperspace, the inky darkness of the void giving way to the harsh, unforgiving light of the Zorgon home system. Arya stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, her eyes fixed on the view screen as the enemy ships came into view. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched in every way imaginable. But they had something the Zorgons could never comprehend, the unbreakable spirit of humanity, the will to fight on, even in the face of certain doom. "All ships engage at will," Arya commanded, her voice steady and unwavering. "We need to buy time for the infiltration team to reach their target." As the battle erupted around them, Arya felt a surge of pride in her crew, in the men and women who had chosen to stand with her against the darkness. They fought with a ferocity that belied their underdog status, their weapons cutting through the enemy lines like a hot knife through butter. But even as they pushed forward, the Zorgons pushed back harder. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, and their numbers seemed endless. For every enemy vessel they destroyed, 2 more took its place. An unrelenting tide of destruction that threatened to overwhelm them at every turn. On the Phoenix's bridge, Zephyr's holographic form flickered and danced, the AI working tirelessly to coordinate the fleet's movements and counter the enemy's every move. But even with its vast processing power, the odds were stacked against them. "Captain, we're losing ground," Zephyr warned, its voice laced with urgency. "The Zorgons are adapting to our tactics faster than we can counter them." Arya gritted her teeth, her eyes scanning the battlefield for any sign of weakness, any glimmer of hope. And then she saw it, a small opening in the enemy lines, a chink in their armor that they could exploit. "Zephyr, "Concentrate all fire on that weak point," she ordered, her voice rising above the chaos of the battle. "We need to punch through their defenses and give the infiltration team a chance." The AI complied, and the Phoenix surged forward, its weapons blazing with renewed intensity. Around them, the other ships of the fleet followed suit, their combined firepower tearing through the Zorgon lines like a hot knife through butter. For a moment, it seemed as though they might actually succeed, that they might break through the enemy's defenses and strike at the heart of their empire. But then, a massive Zorgon dreadnought emerged from the fray, its hull bristling with weapons and its shields shimmering with an eerie, otherworldly light. "Brace for impact," Arya shouted, her heart pounding in her chest as the enemy ship bore down on them. The Phoenix shuddered under the onslaught, its shields straining to hold back the tide of destruction. But even as they fought on, Arya knew that they were running out of time. The infiltration team needed to succeed, or all of their sacrifices would be for nothing. "Zephyr, give me a status update on the infiltration team," she demanded, her voice tight with tension. The AI hesitated, its holographic form flickering with uncertainty. "Captain, I've lost contact with them. Their last transmission indicated they were nearing the target, but since then—" Arya felt a cold knot of dread settle in the pit of her stomach. If the infiltration team had failed, then all of this, the battle, the sacrifices, the lives lost, would be for nothing. But even as despair threatened to overwhelm her, Arya refused to give up. She had come too far, fought too hard, to let it all end like this. "All ships, form up on the Phoenix," she commanded, her voice ringing out across the fleet. "We're going in, and we're not stopping until we've brought those Zorgon bastards to their knees." As the ships of the Alliance rallied around her, their weapons blazing with renewed determination, Arya felt a flicker of hope ignite in her heart. They were the underdogs, the last line of defense against an enemy that sought to extinguish the very light of civilization. But they were also human, and in that moment, Arya knew that nothing in the universe could stand against the indomitable will of her species. With a fierce battle cry, the Phoenix surged forward, leading the charge into the heart of the enemy's stronghold. And as the stars themselves seemed to tremble with the fury of their onslaught, Arya knew that whatever happened next, they would face it together, united in their resolve, bound by the unbreakable bonds of courage and sacrifice. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Galactic Alliance would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, and they would win, or they would die trying. For in the end, that was the essence of what it meant to be human, to stare into the face of oblivion and refuse to blink, to stand tall against the darkness and declare, with every fiber of their being, that they would not be broken. And as the battle raged on, the stars themselves bore witness to the greatest display of courage and determination the galaxy had ever seen, the final stand of the human race, the last, best hope for a future free from the shadow of tyranny and oppression. Chapter 12. The Indomitable Human Spirit. As the battle raged on, the Galactic Alliance fleet fought with every ounce of courage and determination they possessed. The Phoenix led the charge, its weapons blazing, its crew united in their resolve to bring an end to the Zorgon threat once and for all. Arya stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the view screen, her heart pounding in her chest as she watched the chaos unfold around them. The Zorgon ships were relentless, their weapons tearing through the Alliance's defenses like paper, but still, they refused to back down. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage," Zephyr warned, its holographic form flickering with urgency. "Shields are failing, and we've lost contact with the Dauntless and the Valiant." Arya gritted her teeth, her mind racing as she tried to come up with a plan. They were running out of time, and with each passing moment, more lives were lost, more ships destroyed. But even as despair threatened to overwhelm her, Arya remembered the words of her mentor, the legendary Admiral Janus. "When all seems lost, when the odds are stacked against you, that's when you dig deep and find the strength to keep fighting. That's when you show the universe what it means to be human." With renewed determination, Arya turned to her crew, her voice ringing out across the bridge. "Listen up, everyone. We've come too far to give up now. The Zorgons may have superior technology, but we have something they'll never understand, the unbreakable human spirit. As her words echoed through the ship, Arya saw the fire reignite in the eyes of her crew. They were tired, battered, and bloodied, but they were not beaten. They were human, and they would fight to the last. "Zephyr, divert all available power to weapons and engines," Arya commanded, her voice steady and unwavering. "We're going to make a run for the Zorgon flagship. If we can take it out, we might just buy the infiltration team the time they need." The AI complied, and the Phoenix surged forward, its weapons glowing with an intense, blinding light. Around them, the remaining ships of the Alliance followed suit, their crews united in their determination to see this through to the end. As they neared the Zorgon flagship, the enemy fire intensified, the massive dreadnought's weapons tearing through the void with terrifying precision. But the Phoenix pressed on, its shields straining under the onslaught, its crew refusing to back down. And then, just as all seemed lost, a miracle happened. The infiltration team's signal cut through the chaos, their voices filled with triumph and relief. They had done it. They had reached the Zorgon central computer core and uploaded the virus that would bring their empire crashing down. As the Zorgon ships began to falter, their systems shutting down one by one, a cheer erupted across the Alliance fleet. Against all odds, they had emerged victorious, their courage and sacrifice proving once and for all that the human spirit was a force to be reckoned with. In the aftermath of the battle, as the Alliance ships limped back to friendly space, Arya stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, her heart filled with a mixture of pride and sorrow. They had won, but the cost had been high, and she knew that the scars of this conflict would linger for generations to come. But as she looked out at the stars, Arya knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them head-on, united in their resolve to build a better future for all. For that was the essence of the human spirit, the unbreakable will to keep pushing forward, to keep fighting for what was right, no matter the odds. And as the Phoenix set course for home, Arya knew that she had been a part of something truly special, a shining example of what humanity was capable of when they stood together, united in purpose and unafraid to face the darkness head-on. The Galactic Underdog had emerged victorious, and the universe would never be the same again. Chapter 13, A New Dawn. As the dust settled and the Alliance ships returned to their respective homeworlds, the galaxy began to come to terms with the monumental events that had transpired. The Zorgon Empire, once thought to be an unstoppable force, lay in ruins, its ships drifting aimlessly through the void, its leaders scattered to the far reaches of the universe. Across the Alliance, news of the victory spread like wildfire, sparking celebrations and renewed hope for the future. On Earth, massive crowds gathered in the streets, their faces filled with joy and relief as they hugged and cheered, the weight of the long and brutal war finally lifting from their shoulders. Arya and her crew were hailed as heroes, their names etched into the annals of history as the defenders of the galaxy. But for Arya, the accolades and praise meant little compared to the knowledge that they had done what was right, that they had stood up against tyranny and oppression and emerged victorious. As the Phoenix underwent repairs and the crew took a much-needed rest, Arya found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. She thought of the friends she had lost, the sacrifices that had been made, and the unbreakable bonds that had been forged in the heat of battle. And as she looked to the future, Arya knew that the road ahead would not be easy. The Zorgon Empire may have been defeated, but there would always be new threats to face, new challenges to overcome. But she also knew that humanity would never back down, that they would continue to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. In the weeks and months that followed, the Alliance began the long and arduous process of rebuilding, of forging a new path forward in a galaxy forever changed by the Zorgon War. And at the forefront of this effort was Arya and her crew, their skills and experience invaluable in the face of the challenges ahead. As new alliances were forged and old wounds began to heal, Arya found herself taking on a new role, not just as a captain, but as a leader, a symbol of hope and unity for a galaxy in need of both. And though the weight of this responsibility was heavy, she bore it with the same unwavering determination that had carried her through the darkest days of the war. For Arya knew that this was only the beginning, that there would be many more battles to come, many more challenges to face. But she also knew that as long as humanity stood together, as long as they held fast to the unbreakable spirit that had carried them through the ages, there was nothing they could not achieve. And as the Phoenix set out once more, its crew ready to face whatever lay ahead, Arya looked to the stars with a sense of hope and purpose, knowing that no matter what the future held, they would face it head-on, united in their resolve to build a better tomorrow for all. The Galactic Underdog had risen from the ashes of war, stronger and more determined than ever before. And though the road ahead was long and uncertain, one thing was clear: the human spirit would never be broken, and the light of hope would always shine bright in the face of the darkness.